Okay, I think we're just about ready to get started. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name's Lewis, and I'm a customer advocate for OWL. I'll be hosting today's webinar. You'll be muted during the webinar, but if you have any questions, please type them into the chat section in GoToMeeting, and one of our customer advocates will answer you directly during the session. Feel free to say hi in the chat now. There'll also be a question period at the end of the session where I'll be fielding questions written into the chat section. So just put any questions you have in the chat during the presentation. Today's presentation will be approximately 20 to 30 minutes long with a 15-minute Q&A period at the end. We're going to focus on the basics of OWL, like what does it do, how do you use it, and how you can get started with it. I'm just going to share my screen now. So for the agenda today, first we'll cover what OWL is, and then we'll give a brief product tour. Followed by that, we'll cover the solo and group functionality of OWL, what makes OWL unique, and then we'll finish up with a Q&A. So firstly, we'll just cover what is OWL. So OWL Practice is a web-based practice management solution for private practices in Canada's mental health care industry. OWL is used to manage various aspects of your practice administration. It's a fully integrated solution, which means that different components of OWL are tied together. For instance, billing is tied to scheduling. All you would need to do to bill for a session in OWL is mark attendance for it, a task which you would have done anyways. OWL's goal is to reduce the small inefficiencies in your day-to-day. Time spent on these inefficiencies adds up quickly. Improving administrative practices reduces that waste of time and usually means you can improve revenue. You'll have a solid foundation to grow your practice from. We have in-depth knowledge of the private practice industry in Canada and have chosen to remain focused on the needs of the mental health care community. OWL started 5 years ago in a Toronto psychologist's office. Andrew, our CEO, he wanted to build a tool to better manage his wife's growing psychology clinic. And since then, we've helped thousands of Canadian private practice owners improve their business. Our goal is always to act as your partner in practice management and not just as a purchase tool. Today, we'll review exactly what areas of practice management OWL addresses. So the 5 key focuses of OWL are scheduling, client billing, note writing, client record management, and reporting and metrics. There are many other components to OWL, but these are what we'll focus on today. OWL is a large platform designed to help you. We're going to review all of these 5 elements in detail, but first let's talk a little bit about privacy and security. So before you start using any digital tool for your practice, you should make sure it's fully compliant. Canadian privacy laws are some of the most strict, which is a great thing to protect your clients. OWL Practice is fully PHIPAA and college compliant, meaning we store your client data in a completely compliant manner. Our first priority is keeping all the practice data you entrust to the OWL system safe and secure. Here are some of the things we do to keep your practice data always safe. Firstly, we own all of our own servers in Canada, so your information never leaves Canadian borders. This is significant in terms of compliance. Our servers are located in Toronto and Montreal. And next, we offer segregated databases. So each OWL account has its own segregated database, accessible only from a customized account-specific URL. There's no way to log into an OWL account from the OWL marketing site, and these login pages are not searchable on Google for security reasons. We also offer bank-level encryption. We use that encryption, SSL, to encrypt all data that moves between our secure and dedicated servers and your device or browser. Other things we offer are data loss protection, a Canadian team, and layered security access for group practices. Let me know if you have any other questions about security in the chat. You can also head to the security FAQ articles on our website to learn more details. Now that we've talked about security, we can hop into a tour of the product itself. We'll start in the calendar, which is where you land every time you log into your OWL account. So I'm just going to switch screens now. So first we'll cover scheduling. Scheduling in OWL is designed to be intuitive and quick, so you aren't struggling to book sessions in while a client is with you or on the phone. Therapists or office administrators can book in sessions, and we even have an optional online booking tool if you want your clients to book their own sessions. Let's book a session together so you can see for yourself how easy it is to complete. So to book a session in the calendar, all you need to do is select a date and a time that you want to book that session in for. So if we just select Wednesday at 11 a.m., it will open up the Create Session window. And all you need to create a session are a client name and a service type. So if we just start typing in a client name, Owl will automatically populate the client name window with the client. Next, we just select a service type. And from these two pieces of information, Owl can calculate the rest of the session. So it knows the duration, it knows the amount to charge, and all we need to do is create a session. Once it's been booked in, you can just select the session here and see any information that you want to related to the session. And after the session's been scheduled, the next task to complete is to actually have the session. You'll want to mark that the client attended an OWL and then bill them for the session. So you can see here in the session view window that we have a variety of options we can take regarding the session. For instance, if we select the client's initials, we can view contact details related to them. Marking attendance is really simple. All we need to do is select the attended button right here. And then by default in OWL, when you mark attendance, OWL will create an invoice view automatically for the session. And you can view that invoice by selecting the session, going to Payment Actions, and then selecting View Invoice. So this is the invoice that OWL's automatically generated for the session. You do get some customization in terms of the banner you want to give, the invoice, but the rest of it, OWL's created all for you. And you have a variety of options in terms of what you want to do with this invoice. So you can email it to the various recipients in the client's profile. You can also export it as a PDF and print it. Once an invoice has been generated for a session, you can record payment for it. Recording payment you can do in the same area, just head to Payment Actions and record payment. All you need to record a payment is to note the payment method. And you can also add additional information in here if you need to, but otherwise we just select record payment. And then just as OWL creates an invoice automatically, it will create a receipt automatically as well. And in the same manner as the invoice, you can choose who you want to send it to or what other actions you want to take with it. There are other billing tools available to you in OWL, such as the ability to charge clients for fees beyond the session, a balance owing tracker in the workflow, and a financial dashboard so you can monitor and analyze how your practice is growing. But at the session level, the basics of invoicing and receipting we just reviewed simplify your billing practices. Next, we'll cover note writing. So writing accurate and easy to review session notes is one of the most important things therapists do. Your notes should be simple to write, stored in an organized fashion, and easy to access if you need to transfer a client or a court requests a copy of them. OWL's note writing tool lets you write your notes in-app. Just click on a calendar session and create note to write a note. So in the session note window here, we can see we've got a variety of editing tools we can use to customize the session note how we want. Most useful in the session note window is the template tool. And the template tool allows you to populate a session note with a certain type of template that you like to use for your session notes. So if we just append it here, we can see that the format we typically use for our session notes has been automatically filled in for the session. You can edit and create as many of these session note templates as you like. Other tools available for you in this window are the ability to upload and associate documents with a session note. So you can attach documents to a session note to make sure that you know when they were relevant. You can save your session note at any time just by selecting Save in the bottom right corner, but OWL will also automatically save your session note every 60 seconds to make sure that you're not at risk of losing any information. As you save your data, you'll notice a revision history here, and this will record all previous versions of the session note to ensure that you're not losing track of any changes that have been made to the document. And this is really important for compliance. When you've finished with your session note, all you need to do to mark it as complete is select Sign. And this will populate the session note with your signature at the end of the session note, along with date and time. When you do this, it locks the session note for further editing. Again, this is for compliance to make sure that you're not signing off on anything that you don't know what it says. But if you did want to make a change to a session note later on, you can absolutely do that. You would just need to unsign the note, make your changes, and then re-sign it. Obviously, that would update the date and time of the signature as well, and it will be recordable through the revision history. You can store your notes in OWL for as long as you need to keep a record of them. Even if you retire or take a leave of absence, we have storage plans available for you. So now we'll cover client record management. Every client that you enter into your OWL account will have their own client record or client profile. You can access this by clicking their name or typing it into the search bar. We'll get to them by clicking their name today, and we can do that through the session window. So here's the client profile, and the client profile is organized to make finding information as easy as possible. You have a tab for sessions and notes, which stores a list of all sessions for the client, contact and clinical, where you can edit any pertinent client information, documents, which is the general storage for documents other than session notes, finances, which contains historic receipts and invoices, and finally logs, which is documentation of any email or text messages that were sent to the client. There's a lot of information in the client profile, so we won't review it in full detail, but there are a few great features that I want to point out for you. Firstly, there's appointment reminders. These are the handiest ways to automate a task that typically get pushed aside when a practice gets busy. Appointment reminders are emails or text messages that are delivered to a client before their session. OWL makes these automatic, so you'll enable the reminder when you add the client in, and they'll get a reminder for every session you book them in for in the future. And you can edit reminders just by heading to contact details and then choosing reminders here. Secondly, there's linked accounts. This is a feature for those of you who do family or couples therapy. Linked accounts allows you to link together multiple clients and specify their family relationship. You can then book them in for family therapy sessions and have your billing reflect that. OWL even copies the notes for a family therapy session to each family member's sessions and notes area. Third, there's service discounts. If you offer a sliding fee scale to your clients, you can automate it client by client using this service discounts tool. Our data tells us that 14% of client sessions have a discount of some sort, so this tool ensures that you charge the correct amount for each client. Finally, we'll cover reporting and metrics. So if you're trying to get a better understanding of your session and revenue data, the dashboard is going to be your best friend. Use this tool to gain an in-depth understanding of your growth. You can use it for strategic planning, reporting, and for accounting tasks like month-end reconciliation. There are 3 areas in the dashboard. Firstly, a year-over-year or a very generic presentation of your sessions and revenue by month and year. Next, there's statistics. If you're a visual person, these graphs will be very useful for you. See information laid out with actual versus projections of practice data. Finally, there's data export, where you can pull off any practice data as a CSV file that you can open with Excel or numbers. So those are the basics of OWL. I'm just going to switch back to the presentation now. And next, we'll just cover the differences between the solo and group versions of OWL. So there's 2 different types of OWL accounts, solo and group. Solo is for the sole practitioners who may be part-time or full-time. If you're a solo practitioner with an office admin, we can add them on for you at no extra charge. Our group edition is designed for multi-clinician practices who are looking to organize scheduling and billing. We've built it to have various levels of access depending on the clinician's role in the practice. If your client needs a tool that offers a shared calendar, supervisory features, assigned therapist access, and compiled financial information, Group Edition would be a good fit for you. If you are a group practice, please email us after the webinar and we can set up a quick phone call consultation to talk about what Group Edition offers in more detail. So what makes OWL unique? Since you're attending this webinar, we can assume that you're in the market for a new practice management solution, or you're frustrated by some of the current admin issues in your practice. As you're making your decision on a tool, here are some of the things that we identify as unique to OWL. Firstly, Canadian servers and full PHIPAA and college compliance. Security is one of the most important elements, so this should be at the top of your list. Next, a mental health focus. Our history of being developed in a psychologist's office isn't just a story we tell, it's foundational to OWL's design logic. Using a niche tool designed for your profession makes the transition easier, as you're likely already familiar with the processes you'll be using. They're just happening on your computer instead of on paper. Next, there's linked accounts functionality. If you do family and couples therapy, having your tool built specifically to accommodate this is really significant. The client portal, we didn't review this in today's webinar, but OWL does have online booking and online intake and consent forms. Adding this feature set helps you move almost all aspects of your paperwork onto OWL. And finally, a user-focused development. For the first few years of OWL, we built our business from referrals in the mental health community. We appreciate this and know that it means that our product works for therapists, but it also means that as we build features, we want to build what our users ask for. Because of this, we're always open to hearing ideas of how OWL could better work for your practice. Most recently, we added on an integration with Stripe, so our users could process client credit cards through OWL. This came from user requests to have payment integration. Thanks for taking the time to learn about OWL with me today. We'll move into a Q&A section next, but first I wanted to let you know what your next steps are with OWL. We offer a 14-day free trial, so you can test OWL out before committing. Start that by heading to our website and clicking the free trial button in the top right corner. As a CCPA member, you are eligible to receive your first month free if you sign up for a paid plan by November 30th, 2018. To take advantage of this offer, email us at support@owlpractice.ca and let us know that you're ready to sign up and that you're a CCPA member. Thanks again for taking the time to join me in a tour of OWL. As I mentioned earlier, we'll follow up this webinar by sending you a few helpful resources for your further consideration. Before we wrap up though, we'll have a question period to address any remaining questions from the group. So if anyone has any questions, just post them in the chat now and I'll be happy to answer them. Is anyone here part of a group practice? If so, just send us a chat now and then we can email you some more information after the session. If no one has any questions, thanks again for attending. I'll keep the session open for another 8 minutes just in case that you do.